to Leader's Tool Chest. My name's Keith Cugger, and today we're going to be talking about How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This book, micro-sized, but I will say, and we'll discuss this later, I really like this form factor. I accidentally ordered this on Amazon, and I'll leave that linked in the description. But at first, after I saw it, I was like, wow, I can't believe I got this tiny little book. But I have to tell you, I really like this form factor, and I'm going to explain to you why right after we explain where we're from today. Today we're here in the beautiful Space Coast, Florida. We're going to be discussing How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This book is over 100 years old and is still relevant today. This book was actually recommended to me by my good friend Liam, and I have to say, thank you, Liam. This was an excellent read, and for all of you out there, he's got a YouTube channel. I'll go ahead and I'll put a link in the description, but he does awesome videos on flying around the country, and it's worth a watch, so I recommend it. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Dale Carnegie was born in 1888 and died in 1955. He was the author of multiple books, including How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. This book has far exceeded people's expectations. This book is still pertinent to how to be influential as a leader and just in any position in life. This book is 132 pages and is broken down into 4 sections. Part 1 is the fundamental techniques of handling people. Part 2 is the 6 ways to make people like you. Part 3 is how to win people to your way of thinking. Part 4 is essentially on how to be a leader. This is really the nuts and bolts of how do you get people to accomplish what you need to work for you and to help your organization grow. We're going to break all that down. Part 1, fundamental techniques in handling people. It breaks down to 3 key principles. Number 1, don't criticize or condemn or complain. Number 2, give honest and sincere appreciation. And number 3, arouse in other people an eager want. These are really simple principles, but they really kind of get you to this thinking of how am I going to use these people and bring out their full potential. If I'm criticizing, if I am tearing them down, we need to be building people up. And he really explains that in these 3 chapters. The power of the human condition and the ability to go beyond what a robot or a computer, these things are programmed and they have set parameters, but a human being does not. If you can motivate someone, if you can find that driving factor, you can really bring out something that only human beings can do. And that innovation is just something that I feel like understanding the power of human beings and getting them to work for you and with you, and we can do anything. So this book really breaks down and talks about utilizing not just psychology, but genuinely caring about people and speaking to them respectfully and just understanding them as human beings is really the driving key factor to getting them to be motivated. So I really love that portion of this book. Part 2 is the 6 ways to make people like you. It breaks down the 6 key principles. Number 1, becoming genuinely interested in the people you're talking to. Number 2, smiling. Number 3, remember the person's name and why was that important. He really dives into that one. Number 4, being a good listener. Number 5, talking in terms of the other person's interest. And number 6, making the other person feel important. Now, a lot of these are what would seem maybe deceptive. They really are meant to be using your tools to build up that person and encourage and getting them to be really engaged in conversations and just showing that you actually care about what's really important to that person. So those are the kind of the key differences between, kind of the negative of using a person, and these are ways to encourage and build up and find what really motivates your people. And I think that's a great set of tools to use. Number 3, how to win people to your way of thinking. There's 12 key principles, but this is all about knowing your people. It's a lot of little nuances, but I didn't feel that these were that important, but I really do believe that they're important if you read this book. But I think really just understanding this is all about knowing your people and utilizing that. And that takes time. This book is not going to give you that. You're going to have to actually sit down and learn these people. Part 4, be a leader, how to change people without giving offensive or rousing resentment. In this section, he breaks down the 9 key principles. In essence, this is all about knowing yourself. It's about knowing when to speak about your experiences and to give a little bit of vulnerability, and not just saying this is where you failed, maybe giving a key scenario where you had a similar experience to show that person you've actually been in this exact scenario before and you were able to learn from it and grow from it. That is an excellent point in being able to show that you too were growing at some point, and that is all people really want to hear sometimes. They would like to know that you have been in these similar situations and you've been able to grow and you're now in the position you are. So I think that is an amazing key aspect of this book. Pros. The pros of this book are it is small and portable, which I really love. I like to keep a copy of my pocket Constitution and Declaration of Independence just in case. This is something you can slide in your pocket anytime you're trying to think about new ways to give your team members some encouragement. Just pop this in your pocket and pull it out when you're on lunch or on break, and it really is a good positive read to know that you can really engage with your team members. And managing people is one thing, but leading people is a completely different thing. And I really like that you can carry this around, take it with you, and it's a great little book. It's simple, but at the same time it's effective, and I really like that. Being kind, being generous, being honest. These are all tools that not everyone knows how to use. So take this advice and use these tools to really build that team that you've really been looking for. And I think that's a really, really powerful thing. Cons. This book is very, very bare bones. It's a quick little read. I was able to read this in a day or so. It has a little bit of information, but it is very, very... I think that's kind of where the dating of this book kind of comes into play. It doesn't give a lot of today's scenarios, that's because this book is, from a different era. But I feel like the principles are strong, and I feel like the subject matter is still relevant today. And that is something that you can't take away from this book. But we'll get to what I ultimately think of it. Conclusion. I give this book a 4 out of 5. I think it's relevant, and I think it's a great read. Just to remind you that we can be kind, we can be understanding, we can approach people with dignity, and it really is something that I feel like leadership today, we talk about a lot of these different principles, but if you really go back and just take it into scope, the principles are just treating people with respect and understanding them as a person. Everyone is an individual contributor. Being able to speak to these people and engage with them and be understanding and honest and kind is just part of being a human being. And I really like the fact that this book goes back to those core fundamentals of just treating everybody with dignity, respect, being understanding of their situations, and trying to get to know these people. And then in turn, that teaches you about yourself, that you're able to give back to all these people that you've been having work with you, and you just be able to create an absolutely stellar team. And I think that is something that we're so used to try and come up with buzzwords and all these different tools that we're missing out on the absolute fundamentals of treating everyone with respect, dignity, and I mean, this is just simple stuff, but it was really, really eye-opening reading this. And I think me giving this 4 out of 5, it really shows that this book is worth carrying around with you, just reading it every so often, even just using that information. And with that, I want to thank everyone. This channel has been growing here the last couple months. We're over 1,000 views. I had 100 views for like 2 years, and because of you, we're starting to kind of grow. And I'm really, really thankful that people actually care and give me some recommendations. I'm going to continue growing. I really enjoy creating this content, and I look forward to giving more information as I'm reading it. But with all that, grab yourself a copy of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and I can tell you, you won't regret it. Thank you again for stopping by the Leader's Tool Chest, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.